My name is Mark Giuliano, and I'm the president of Caesars Atlantic City and its chief operating officer. And I'm happy to participate in its Post Times annual handicap pick for the Kentucky Derby. This year's winner is going to be the New York-based horse Suave Prospect, trained by Nick Zito, a two-time Kentucky Derby winner, and also the trainer of last year's winner, which I happened to pick, Go for Gin. So I'd like to nominate Suave Prospect for the winner of the Derby this year, and I'd like to see all you New York fans down here in our simulcast casino for a day that will be truly one for New York.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Atlantic City, New Jersey, into Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. I am J.J. Graci, along with Jodi MacDonald, and a cast of 1,000 here this evening. We're going to help you along with the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. A bulky field. We'll have more about that later in the show. But let me introduce you right now to Jodi MacDonald, WIP All Sports Radio, our new co-host here at Caesars. Jodi, nice to have you along.
JJ, my pleasure. Should be a lot of fun. The Kentucky Derby is the Super Bowl of horse racing. Anybody who follows the game, anybody who plays the game, knows that this is the biggest race of the year. Yes, the Breeders' Cup is the richest race and the most money on the line, but the most exciting and, for me, the classic race of the entire racing season is the Kentucky Derby. It's the most fun.
It seems that everybody gets Derby fever, and there's no better place to get Derby fever than right here at Caesars simulcasting room. So stop by here on Saturday. They will treat you, because it is the winner's circle on the boardwalk. But let me introduce you to last year's handicapping winner and the winner here at Caesars, Mark Giuliano, the president of Atlantic City and COO. And Mark, I know that you picked Suave Prospect and Nick Zito and company, and I would think that you might have picked the right one again.
Well, the fact that I won the handicapping contest last year really proves that there is no handicapping skills involved. It's all just luck.
Wouldn't you rather be lucky than smart?
I'd rather be lucky all the time.
I think that's what's going to take to win this Kentucky Derby is a lot of luck, since it's such a big field. But moving along with Caesars has done, last time we were here, Caesar had some new suites. This year, Caesar has a brand new restaurant that you're pretty proud of, Planet Hollywood.
Well, actually, we have two new restaurants. The first restaurant is Planet Hollywood, which opened about 2 weeks ago. We had a grand opening with Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore. The four stars are also partners in the restaurant. But we think Planet Hollywood is probably the most exciting thing to happen to the boardwalk in years. The great thing about the restaurant is that it's a place where you can come and bring your families. There's a lot of the movie memorabilia for the kids to enjoy, and plus the food is great. And the other restaurant that we've opened recently here at Caesars is one that we had many years ago called the Bacchanal. The Bacchanal restaurant opened 2 weeks ago. It's up on our 3rd floor. You have a choice of a 4 or a 7-course meal, along with a lot of entertainment. So both restaurants are real exciting, a lot of fun, something for the whole family to enjoy.
Again, you probably had a tremendous turnout when Arnold Schwarzenegger and company was here. I mean,
well, the Sunday night opening with Bruce Willis and Demi Moore actually had more people because there was also a free concert that Bruce did on the boardwalk afterwards. But we had about 10,000 people out in the boardwalk, and everybody had a great time. Everybody was well behaved. We were just real happy with the opening.
Again, it's Caesars always seems to be #1 in just about everything they do, and again, I'm sure that the new restaurants will be just that way.
Well, if we are sitting here again next year, I'm sure that we're going to have something else new to share with you, because that's one of the firm philosophies that we have in the business, is just to stay on top of it and continue to add new and exciting things for all of our customers to enjoy.
Mark, I heard in your opening that you went to New York Connection last year. You're going to New York Connection again this year with Nicky Zito. You've got to be quite happy. I understand that Caesars has just got New York racing right here into your
That's right. We'll be offering it for the first time this weekend. It's something that we've been working on for a couple of years now, really ever since the simulcasting began here in Atlantic City. So we're happy to finally be able to offer the New York tracks.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you stopping by here tonight because I know you're a pretty busy guy. And again, I really want to thank you for having us back here for the second year in a row. And I hope that your Kentucky Derby pick holds up for you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you, and whether I'm a winner or not, we're glad to have you here.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark.
Thanks.
That was Mark Giuliano, the president of Atlantic City Caesars here and CCO. Okay, we're going to come up. We do have the draw for the 121st running, Jodi, of the Kentucky Derby. It's a big, bulky field, and it appears to me that the horses that are in this particular race, the ones that have some serious contention, have all drawn a bad post.
It's interesting, JJ, in that, yes, those that are favored by the betting public, those that have been picked by some experts, all seem to fall into that 12 through 16 category. So it's going to be a tough cavalry charge. We'll run them down for you real quick. Dazzling Falls won the Arkansas in his last 20-1. Stepping up here, going to be tough. Knockadoon gets Chris McCarron. McCarron can win the race. I'm not enthralled with the field this year. I don't think the field is great. Knockadoon is one of those that I would not pick on its own. I don't think I'll take it with the field either. Pyramid Peak, I think, is a little bit of a live long shot coming in off the Flamingo win. Wild Sin, as you know, stole the bluegrass on the front end, is not going to have it that easy on the frontier, but I do like Randy Romero. Jambalaya Jazz has the best dosage index, the best bred horse in this race. Craig Perret, the jockey, part of an entry here, is a long shot, but might be a live one at that. Suave Prospect, as we just heard, the Nick Zito connection, coming back again to the Jersey as a way of winning the Kentucky Derby. I don't like Suave Prospect. It's going to get me in trouble with the house, but I've got to make my picks. Eltish, the European, comes in. I think that's a Razi all over again. Eltish won't get any of my money. Lake George, great spot to be when you're in Saratoga. Not the spot you want to be here in the Kentucky Derby. In Character is another part of the field that I'd like a little bit if it was on its own as a field. I don't think that it's good enough value. Jumron is a hot horse. Here's the horse that I think a lot of people are going to bet because closed in the Santa Anita. Don't like it at all. Talking Man, I think, will be the favorite. We know the favorite doesn't win the Kentucky Derby, so we can move on. Afternoon Delight, another hot horse, was the hot horse earlier in this campaign. I don't think it's got anywhere near the bottom to get the 1.25 mile distance. There's a good one that you can throw out. Serena Song, the filly in the race, coming from post position 13, just stays inside the regular gate. She makes the front. She's allowed to walk. She's going to win. I don't think that happens. Tahano Run comes out of post position 14. You've got to go to the auxiliary gate. Very tough spot to win from, but reminds me a great deal of Gopher Gin, who got the job done last year. Timber Country, 2-year-old champion, Breeders' Cup. No 2-year-old champion has come back out of the Breeders' Cup and then won the Kentucky Derby. So there's a good toss if you want to go that direction. Thunder Gulch, very talented horse, dual qualifier, but I think has left its better races behind it. So I think there's a horse that you can probably not use and do okay. Ski Captain comes in from Japan. They don't do too well in Kentucky coming from Japan. Meki is the horse with the most races in this upcoming race. 17 lifetime starts, and none of them impressive for me, so I won't be on Meki as part of the field. And Citadede, I wouldn't have liked if it drew the rare, wouldn't have liked if it drew the 12 position. I certainly don't like it at number 19.
Okay, we'll have more about the horses in the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. Let's go back right now to the early females, and a female will be in this year's 121st running of the Kentucky Derby.
Diane Crump spends her mornings on horseback. She's an exercise rider, a jockey, a trainer, and she owns a piece of history.
I can see in 25 years, look at the difference. I mean, that was in 1969 that I started riding, 1970 that I rode in the Derby, and no women had ridden anything ever. So, I mean, yes, it's slow, and yes, it's unfair, but it's made big progress.
Crump finished 15th and hasn't been in the Derby since. But her years of experience have convinced her that women are not inferior when it comes to racing.
It's the animal that is doing it. And so if a person has, I mean, the love and the feel for the horse, and that's what it takes. There's no way it has anything to do with if you're a man or woman. I mean, this is the one sport that is totally equal.
Crump's auspicious Derby debut 25 years ago paved the way for other women, most notably this one, Julie Krone. A champion by anyone's standards and a future Hall of Famer, Krone is riding one of the top Derby horses, Suave Prospect. And this will be the first time a woman jockey has not been on a field horse, which is the longest of Derby long shots.
You know, I've almost won 3,000 races, and I would much rather walk to the paddock on a 9-5 or 4-5 shot than 30-1. So going into the Kentucky Derby on one of the favorites does nothing but make me smile, that's for sure.
Crone is the only woman to capture a Triple Crown race. 2 years ago, she won the Belmont on Colonial Affair. Then later in the summer, she was nearly killed in a spill at Saratoga. After a year of rehabilitation, she's back in the saddle again. And she's ready to take on the boys in the Derby, knowing no one's going to get out of her way just because she's a girl.
By no means, I don't think any of us are tentative in what we do. We risk our lives and break our bones in order to win races. So when you go out there, you're not going to be tentative. You're going to be aggressive and looking forward to getting your picture taken.
Bob Lauder for Derby 121.
Hey, we're back here live here at Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. J.J. Graci along with Jodi MacDonald. And I'd like to bring to the table a brand new face here at Atlantic City, but maybe not a brand new face to some of you folks. She's a very noted and talented girl on TV throughout the country. Caton Bradar is now the publicity director at Atlantic City Racecourse. And Caton, we'd like to bring you here and have some fun this summer.
I am really looking forward to it. This has been tremendous so far. I'm on a whirlwind tour, I think, just getting acquainted with the casinos as well as the racetrack itself, but I think it's going to be a big summer.
I tell you, Caton, you came in with Atlantic City, its 50th year anniversary, so it's going to be a big job for you, and also a race that's very, very popular is the Caesars International.
Oh, no question about it, but that makes my job easier because when you have one of the best turf races in the country, really in the world, there's no question that it's easy to promote. It's going to be very exciting. Already the nominations were released with 71, and it includes a lot of top horses on almost all coasts. Really from California, we're going to see, I think, a little more participation. So there's a Caesars bonus and a Kentucky Derby winner nominated there in Go for Gin, so it's a lot of excitement.
Well, with the Caesars Palace, they have two other races to go along with the International, right?
Well, in this case, this year, it's very unique. First time we've ever done anything like this. It's called the Caesars East-West Sweep. And what it does is offer a bonus to a horse that wins the Caesars International here and then goes on to California and is successful on the West Coast as well. So it's really going to be a difficult task, I think, but it's going to generate a lot of enthusiasm and interest. And fans both in California and in Atlantic City are going to have an opportunity to see those races through simulcasting as well as follow horses, hopefully, that'll compete in both. So we're looking forward to it, and really everyone is sort of steering their attention to the 3-year-olds, but there's a turf race on the card at Churchill Downs that I think will kick things off too with a triple series of early time turf triple. So you got activity going on in all categories.
Kate, you mentioned simulcasting. It has become the boon of the industry. How do you look forward to the Kentucky Derby? I know you're just starting at Atlantic City, but this is the best race of the year. It's the biggest race of the year. It's the one that people have racing parties around. What kind of a handle do you look for this Saturday, and are you looking for a big crowd?
Oh, you can't even guesstimate what the handle is going to be. I'm sure it's going to set records, though, with 19 horses and the level of quality that we've got going this year. I think it's one of the deepest in terms of quality that we've seen in a long time. Everybody has an opinion. It's going to be accessible to fans really, literally, in every part of the country and outside the country as well. And I think everyone is going to be paying a lot of attention. You're going to see records set.
Okay, Caton, we're going to have you sit there for a minute, but right now, earlier this afternoon, Bob Lund from Channel 2 had an interview with John Vidmore, who's Assistant Vice President of the casino at Caesars Palace, and here's what Bob and John Lund had to say about the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby.
John, we just had the opportunity to watch the draw for the 121st Kentucky Derby. Who do you think the post-position draw helped here in particular, and who do you think it hurt?
Well, I guess just like we experience every year, the post-position draw had its oohs and ahs and a few gasps for air, probably the biggest gasps coming from Dwayne Lucas. This year's field, I certainly believe that the Kentucky Derby is wide open. I guess I'd like to start with the positive, and a few of the horses that did draw nice post positions. This year's Bluegrass winner, Wild Sin, sitting right in the middle of the track out of post position 4. Eltish also drew a real nice position, as did Jumrun. Serena's Song just did manage to get into the main starting gate, and she's right next to Afternoon Delights. Serena's Song I certainly see as one of the few speed horses that are in this year's race. Question mark, does she have to expend a little more energy getting into the key position in the first turn out of the 13 hole. She's certainly the last of the speed horses. The rest of the speed is to her inside, so that will be to her benefit. One of the question marks that we see about Afternoon Delights is that this horse loves to go to the front, and Richard Mandela has given Mr. DeSormo strict instructions that this horse is going to need to rate if he's going to be successful in this Saturday's race. But I don't think Serena Song was hurt too much by post 13. Of course, it would be nice to see her in the center of the track. Hurting the most, I definitely see anybody that's in the auxiliary gate. Out of the 95 runnings of the Derby since 1900, there's been 153 horses in the auxiliary gate, only 3 have won. I really did like Thunder Gulch and Timber Country this year. They're both dual qualifiers. We've heard a lot of hype about Ski Captain. I think we definitely have to discount all these horses with their very poor starting positions. Thunder Gulch, I look to see in the first tier of Raiders just behind the speed, and Timber Country just behind him. However, these horses are so far to the outside of the racetrack, they're going to have to use a lot of energy early on to get the key position going into the first turn where the race can be lost. They might not have enough gas in the tank to make the long stretch drive.
John, we really appreciate your being with us, and we'd like to wish you the best and your lovely wife, Caroline, and we're looking forward to seeing you back here in Atlantic City very soon.
It's my pleasure, Bob. I just want to say hi to JJ and say hello to Joan Bush. Miss you guys a lot, and have a very happy Kentucky Derby Day.
Okay, John Vidmar, thank you very much. We'll be back with more of It's Post Time right after this.
That was John Vidmar from Caesars Palace, the vice president of the Casino Works out there, and his thoughts on the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. Caton, I know that time has come for you to run off, but
you know, the thing about this race in particular, I have to say though, is that you can make a case for every horse in the field. 19 horses, everybody's going to have an opinion, but I think that the horses that have been really touted all year long have lost a lot of attention. So I think people should try to go back to some of the things they were talking about last year, even in the fall and even in the spring earlier, before a couple key horses caught attention, because the post position draw changed a lot of things, I think, strategically, and I think you're going to see an upset.
okay, we're up against our first spot block, and when we come back, that we'll have Robert P. Levy, the chairman of the board of Atlantic City Racecourse, and we'll get his thoughts on the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. That and more right after this.
Hi, I'm Valerie McGonigal, Director of Advertising and Public Relations here at Caesars Atlantic City. My selections for this year's Kentucky Derby, I'm going with Talkin' Man to win. I like Roger Attfield's style of training, and I love how this colt is bred. This colt hasn't realized his full potential yet, and in this Kentucky Derby field, he'll be up against his sternest competition. I like how he runs. He's going to be out there with the filly, and I think he will be able to prevail in this field. His 2 last races were outstanding, and although he hasn't really run against his best competition, I think this Saturday he will be able to prove what kind of a horse he is. I think Serena Song is going to be right there in back of him, followed by Afternoon Delights.
This joint is jumping, it's really jumping. Come in, cats, and check your hats. I mean, this joint is jumping. The piano's thumping, the dancer's bumping. This year's spot is more than hot. In fact, the joint is jumping. The roof is rocking, the neighbors knocking. We're about to win the wagon comes. I mean, this joint is jumping. This joint is jumping, yeah.
Excitement is off and running for the 50th season at Atlantic City Racecourse, where days of family fun and nights of racing thrills are a South Jersey tradition. Come on and catch the heart-pounding sensation of live thoroughbred racing June 1st to September 2nd, Wednesday to Saturday, post time 7:25. And don't miss the Caesars International Handicap on June 25th. Atlantic City's longest-running hit, Atlantic City Racecourse. It's a smile and an eighth.
Hi, I'm Joan Bush, Caesars Simulcast Manager, and I believe what I would really like to see on Saturday is Serena Song jump out of the gate and never look back. She would really make history with that one. However, she's a talented filly, has a lot of heart, a lot of speed, and I think she really could do it, but we've got Talkin' Man and Afternoon Delights, who are very talented colts with a lot of speed also, that are going to run with her. And after a 1.8 miles of bucking heads, I believe they're going to get tired. So I'm looking for a come-from-behind horse. And out of the pack of 18 horses, he's going to truly have a clear trip and clear sailing to jump out in the stretch run and go on with it. But I'm looking for Timber Country, Jumron, and Eltish, who was second to Timber Country in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, to come on possibly to get third.
Welcome back to Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. J.J. Graci along with Jodi MacDonald. And joining us right now is Robert P. Levy, the chairman of the board of Atlantic City Racecourse, and the owner of Bet Twice, who competed in the 1987 Kentucky Derby, only to be beat by a terrific horse called Alice Sheba. Bob Levy, it's a pleasure to have you here once again. You're going into your 50th year of racing at Atlantic City, so I know that you have some things to say about that. One thing I need to ask you, Bob, you've had a lot of good horses over the years.
Not that many.
Well,
a few.
more than all of us here. Being in the Kentucky Derby, does that mean a whole lot more, that particular race, than any other because of the Derby hype?
Yeah, but you don't want to, the Derby hype gets a lot of people caught up, and you don't want to be there unless you're, I always say, like 8 to 1 or under. I mean, you want to be there if you have a good chance of winning the race. I'd never want to go to the Derby with a horse that I didn't think had an excellent chance of winning, because you really don't, it costs you money beyond that. I mean, it really, by the time you figure out what your dollar out of pocket is to run the Kentucky Derby, and it's somewhere between like $35,000 and $50,000 between nominating entry fees, buying seats, getting all your friends there and everything else, it costs you that. So it's $100,000 per second, and I think we came in second, and I just about broke even.
Tell me one thing. If you had a filly like Serena's Song, would you entertain the thought of doing what Wayne Lucas is doing here and not going for the Oaks?
Probably not. Serena's Song would probably be 3 to 5 in the Oaks, and she's probably on her own 5 or 6 to 1 in the Derby. I don't think I would, but then, you know, I like to run where I'm, you know, where
you're competitive.
But the other side of it is, and I can see what Wayne's thinking is, if he gets beat in the Derby, nobody's going to say anything. If there's a couple tough horses in the Oaks, including a filly called Urbane, who's a real nice filly, and a couple other fillies in there. And if she got beat in the Oaks, that would really hurt her. So maybe he feels that, and she and Urbane were very close in the Santa Anita Oaks. So it's a tough decision. I don't think I would run a filly in the Derby, no, because if you get lucky and win it, then you're forced to run in the other 2 races, and that you're definitely going to knock your filly out. So, and the chances of her winning it are you know, 5 or 6 to 1, where she's certainly going to be odds on in the Oaks. So I would rather run her in the Oaks. I don't think it's any decision in my mind.
Now, when you made your decision to go with Bet Twice in the Derby, did you make that decision solely? Do you leave it up to your trainer? How much do you guys have to get together to make that kind of decision? You said it's a big decision because it costs a lot just to be in the Kentucky Derby. When you had the kind of horses that were in the position to maybe run for the Roses, did you make those calls yourself, or did you rely heavily on your trainer?
Fortunately, we've had a trainer for 40 years, so 35, 40, so the same trainer, so we have a very close relationship. The horse came up to the Florida Derby as even money, favored. He ran a very poor race for what reason none of us know that particular day. He just didn't run his race. He came back out of the race extremely well, worked well, and we just decided we were going to go because we felt we had an excellent chance of winning. And as it turned out, we did. We were 3 in front at the 8th pole, and I don't think that you can count the Derbies on one hand. The horse that was 3 in front at the 8th pole doesn't win it. And if you're not 1, 2, 3, 4 turning for home, you're not going to win it either. So we were 3 in front, and we got beaten by a better horse. But I'll never second guess that one, because when you're 3 in front in the 8th pole, you've got a hell of a chance.
You know, Bob, it seems to me that a post position would have a lot to do about where you're going to finish in this race on Saturday. Agree?
I guess it does, depending on what kind of horse you have. If you have a speed horse, it probably does. If you have a horse that's going to drop way back, it doesn't make a lot of difference because you're going to get over and try to find the rail anyway. If you have a horse that wants to lay close or off the pace, it does mean a lot. The best posts are probably, you know, everybody says 2 through 5. Personally, I like 12 and 14 because 12 and 14, you don't have a horse in 12, there's nobody outside of you, and in 14, there's nobody inside of you because it's 2 gates. No, I guess it's 14 and they have 14 horses in the gate now, don't they? Right. So it'll be 14 and 15. So I like 14 and 15. 14, you got nobody outside of you. 15, you got nobody inside of you. So you're going to have a clean break. And if you've got enough speed, you're going to make it. Bet Twice came out of 14. I was very happy with that post when it happened, and I thought that that was a good post to get. And it seems that if you watch the start of the Derby, and they always show the head-on shot up the stretch, you always see somewheres around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they all seem to do this, come together, and if somebody's going to get squeezed. Holy Bull got squeezed last year coming out of post 5, I think, or 6, and they do get squeezed. So I think you want to be out of the mainstream, so to speak, and either down on the inside and hope nobody comes over on you, or I personally like 14 and 15, and I know you run a little further, but it's the same as a sprint race on the outside. You always seem to come out there running, don't you?
You do. Positively.
And you can dictate the pace, and you can dictate where you're going to be. And you got to remember, there's a 3/8 of a mile run, more than 3/8 of a mile, to the first turn of the Kentucky Derby. It's the same as starting a sprint race out of a chute and going to the far turn. You've got plenty of time to make it, to get a position.
Post position, important part of handicapping the Derby for someone who's been in the game as long as you are. You have to be a handicapper. What else do you look at when trying to pick a Kentucky Derby winner?
Trainers. I believe an awful lot in trainers. I believe that a lot of people can train a horse. A lot of people can train a 2-year-old. Very few trainers can take a horse from 2 to 3, a good horse, and even fewer can take a horse to the Kentucky Derby. And I think that trainers, I look at trainers right from the beginning, and I really feel that that has an awful lot to do with it. They don't make the horse run, but they sure have, they can get him to where he is at the best of his ability that particular day. Now what happens to throw us all off is the trainers even get caught up in Derby fever. And a lot of times a horse might be a little bit off, might be coming up to the race not as good as he should be, and the trainer will run him anyway. And I've seen good trainers do that, and they shouldn't. But the pressure's there, the owner's screaming, he's got his friends there, and you know, it's an awful lot of pressure. So I don't blame it, but coming up to the Derby, there's, you know, 5 or 6 horses in this race that have good trainers that brought them up. Now, how they are on that particular afternoon, on Saturday afternoon, is going to determine how they run. But these trainers all have the ability to bring their horse to the Derby the right way. And you'll notice the good ones like Whittingham a couple of years ago, his horse wasn't doing good, right, JJ? And he took him out. He was right. He said, I can't run this horse. The Derby's not ready for it. That's the kind of trainer you want.
Let's take a look at one of the starters in the 121st starting the Kentucky Derby, a horse called Jeradi.
In his 8-race career, he's never finished worse than 3rd. Yet, ironically, it was that 3rd-place finish that most impressed most observers. Jeradi was flying at the end of the Santa Anita Derby, beaten only a half length. That convinced trainer Gary Lewis to bring Jeradi to the Kentucky Derby.
It was kind of a speed bias track, and all day there wasn't really anybody that came from behind. And that made that race, you know, look a lot better. I think going 1.25 miles, carrying 126 pounds for the first time, might, you know, tell on some horses. And in this horse, it's, you know, it's a piece of cake, really.
Lewis has been training horses at Santa Anita for more than 30 years, and he knows all about the Derby. But this is his first time to be a part of an event that he is finding just as thrilling as he knew it would be.
This kind of race, my owner and myself, you know, for years been that way. I mean, when they come on the racetrack, you know, we just about cry. I mean, it's an emotional experience.
And if Jeradi were to win the Derby, why, that might be more than Gary Lewis can handle. This is Paul Rogers for Derby 121.
That's Jeradi, who some folks think have a chance, and lots of people think he's just going to be a long shot. Bob, I guess I should ask you a couple of questions. Before I do that, I want to offer you folks out there this Kentucky Derby hat if you all want to get involved with our trivia question. The trivia question, our first one this evening, is what horse led the Kentucky Derby wire to wire from ding to dong? 6411759. If you know the answer of the last horse that went wire to wire in the Kentucky Derby, you can win this nice 121st running of the Kentucky Derby hat. Bob, there's one thing I guess I really want to get your pick in the Kentucky Derby and ask you a couple of things quickly about the 50th season in Atlantic City.
Well, I'm down to 5 horses, so I guess that's pretty good. Sentimentally, I'm rooting for Timber Country because my son-in-law owns a piece of the horse, so I've got to root for him. I did not like his races in California. He likes Churchill Downs. I know Wayne Lucas is a great trainer, but I did not like his race in California. I sort of got a little high on Dazzling Falls last week, but then I don't think the numbers are quite as good. So I'm down to Afternoon Delights, who I know doesn't really want to stay a mile and a quarter, but a lot of times the Derby is won by horses that don't want to go a mile and a quarter. And I really think the way the race is going to be run, he might inherit a big lead at the top of the stretch if he's ridden right, and they may not catch him. The only horses that I think are capable of running them down in the stretch are Eldish, who ran a big race last year at Churchill Downs in the Breeders' Cup. He's trained to go the distance. He's ridden by a good rider, and he has a very good trainer. I mean, he wouldn't come all the way over here from England if he didn't think he had a good chance. Thunder Gulch has a chance to run him down. He's a very good horse, ridden by a very good rider, and of course trained by Lucas. And but I really like Afternoon Delights. I think that he's going to inherit a lead at the top of the stretch that will be hard to catch.
All right, we have that one, or your pick on that. Coming up for our 50th season here, and I'm kind of anxious to get back to Atlantic City. We have anything special planned for the folks this year?
Well, you know, we have our Caesars race, which is tied in with the California race on June 25th, and we have a great big celebration. Our actual 50th birthday is going to be July 22nd. It's matchmaker night. It'll be a big party for everyone, and it's the actual 50 years from that day that we opened. So we're going to have all the people that were there. I'm trying to find people that were there 50 years ago. They're all dead, JJ. So we're trying to find them. And I got Ray Duty coming down. I said, Ray, you got to find him. You know, he was there. He said, I think I know 2. But, you know, everybody's unfortunately not around. But the people that are around, we're going to have them there. And Jimmy Kroll's going to be there. He won the first race ever run in Atlantic City. So he'll be there. And, you know, we'll have as many people as we can find that were around on opening day in 1946.
All right, Bob, I thank you for stopping by, and hopefully our 50th anniversary Atlantic City Racecourse will be as profitable as our meet last year. We had a good meet last year. We have a lot of nice horses coming this year, and for you folks to come out, very first couple of days of June, Atlantic City will be open. Bob, thanks for stopping by, and I'm sure I'll see you in just a little bit. Let's take a look at another starter coming up Saturday in the 121st running. We're going to be looking at a horse in this particular race called Dazzling Falls. Dazzling Falls, Jodi's horse, probably not going to get that much attention.
Let's take a look.
His race is big in the Arkansas. Big, but I don't know what his number was.
Okay, in this particular race here, Jodi, Dazzling Falls here is a horse probably coming down the middle of the racetrack here. It's going to probably get the job done, coming up with the green blinkers on the outside. Draws off here by about maybe 3.5 lengths, Jodi.
JJ, it's a horse coming out of the Arkansas Derby. Over the last couple of years, the Arkansas Derby has become a decent prep for the Kentucky Derby. It hadn't always been that way. It is that way now. The thing that I think hurts Dazzling Falls the most is drawing the rail. The rail is a very tough place to win the Kentucky Derby from. You are forced to absolutely be in the opening pack. If you're not, you're going to get buried on the rail in a 19-horse field. There is no way you're going to get out. Dazzling Falls is not really a front-running horse. It would rather come off the pace. I think it's very compromised by the post position. That's why I can't like it here.
Okay, there's another horse that's woke up the other day called Wild Sin. Wild Sin is a speed horse that likes to take it coast to coast again. I don't think Wild Sin is going to get his way.
No, as you said, JJ, post position is a key here, and you know Wild Sin was the front-running winner in his last race in the Bluegrass, kind of stole the Bluegrass, 49 and 113 and 1 for 6 furlongs. That's not going to happen here. Wild Sin breaks inside, so he's going to have to set some early fractions. Is probably going to be going wire to wire or attempting to go wire to wire with Serena's Song. I don't think it's got the kind of stamina to be able to hold on this distance as close it's going to need to be. You know, it's hard to pick the winner in the Kentucky Derby. Well, it's equally hard to pick the horse that's going to come in last. I think Wild Sin has a chance to finish last because I think it's going to get caught up in a speed duel that's going to want no part of and will stop and slow and slow and slow. I think Wild Sin will either win and or finish last. How's that for a hedge?
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't be any more precise than that. Either you get it all or you look at them all.
You get them, that's it. You see them all.
Well, I'd like to welcome once again here to our the hottest seat here at the Caesars simulcasting room. We have Bob Lund. We'll talk to him in just a minute. But we have Gary from Mays Landing. Gary, you're up, buddy.
How you doing, JJ?
I'm doing okay.
All right, is the answer to your question Go for Gin?
Go for Gin is not the winner.
Ah, how about that? I thought he went wire to wire.
No,
Well-
Ulysses was first at the quarter mile last year.
All right, so we're kind of splitting hairs here.
All right, we'll try it again.
All right, thanks for getting involved.
All right, bye.
Okay, so for you folks out there, our trivia question, we're offering you this particular hat here. We're looking for the horse, the last horse to go wire to wire in the Kentucky Derby. 6411759 will get you in contact with us here, and hopefully you can maybe win this hat. We have another lot of other prizes here for you folks out there. We're up against our second spot block. When we come back from that, Jodi MacDonald will be here along with Bob Lund. We'll look at some more contenders in the Kentucky Derby, some more trivia question, and some more chit-chat. That and more right after this.
Hi, I'm Caton, Bradar, Director of Publicity at Atlantic City Racecourse, and while we get to watch the races, we don't always have the inside track, but hopefully a horse that'll have the inside track and draw a good post position is Serena's Song. Now, Serena's Song is trained by Wayne Lucas, who's got a lot of experience in all the big races. Serena's Song herself has experience primarily against the girls, and she is a girl running against the boys, but I don't think that should deter her. She's already beaten the boys. She's got a top California jockey in Corey Nakatani, who's an up-and-coming star, and I think this is the year that we can set history with speed or maybe close to the pace in Serena's Song. And keep in mind, with these types of odds, and odds always important, you get 2 for the price of 1 when you take Serena's Song. You also get Timber Country, and that is a really strong entry. You're not going to get a good price, but you have really got a good chance there. Another horse who has a good chance is Suave Prospect, trained by Nick Zito, and he's one that should be good odds, good price, New York connections, and that man knows how to train a Kentucky Derby winner. And for third, we'll hunt around a little and go to a jockey who's the best in big races, and that is Tahano Run with Jerry Bailey on board. Magical combination, and another one, if they're a good price, you might consider for the win as well. But hopefully it's for the fillies with Serena's Song in the Derby, and good luck.
This joint is jumping, it's really jumping. Come in, cats, and check your hats. I mean, this joint is jumping. The piano's thumping, the dancer's bumping. This year's spot is more than hot. In fact, the joint is jumping. The roof is rocking, the neighbors knocking. We are about to win the wagon comes. I mean, this joint is jumping. This joint is jumping. Yeah.
The excitement is off and running for the 50th season at Atlantic City Racecourse, where days of family fun and nights of racing thrills are a South Jersey tradition. Come on and catch the heart-pounding sensation of live thoroughbred racing June 1st to September 2nd, Wednesday to Saturday, post time 7:25. And don't miss the Caesars International Handicap on June 25th. Atlantic City's longest-running hit, Atlantic City Racecourse. It's a smile and an eighth.
Hi, this is Art Gropper, handicapper and line maker at Atlantic City Racecourse, and also the host of my own TV show, King Arthur's Roundtable, every Friday at 9 on cable channel 20. Anyway, here are my picks for the Kentucky Derby, and if I pick anything like last year, they're going to throw me out of this contest. Anyway, my pick for the Derby is Afternoon Delights, and I think when you look at the Derby and you look at the past performances, you have to look at the fractional times. And the fractional time of the Santa Anita Derby by far surpasses any of the other Derby preps. Afternoon Delights was only tapped twice by Kent Sormo in the Santa Anita Derby. I think he is primed and ready. I like a horse near the lead in the Derby. I don't want a horse that will have to maneuver around 19 other horses in traffic for the Derby. I like Afternoon Delights to win it all. For second, I like Suave Prospect. I would actually like Suave Prospect to win. I'm a big fan of Julie Krone since she rode at Atlantic City when she was an apprentice. Suave Prospect has the perfect style for this race. The horse has been second 2 or 3 times in a row. I expect Suave Prospect to run really well in the Kentucky Derby. This horse was not used hardly at all in the Bluegrass. For third, I like Jumron, and I might like Jumron to win the whole thing if he has a different rider. I'm not that familiar with the rider. Didn't like the way he handled him in the Santa Anita Derby. Perhaps with a different rider, Jumron might have won the Santa Anita Derby. So my picks, Afternoon Delights all the way, Suave Prospect followed by Jumron.
Welcome back to Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. J.J. Graci along with Jodi MacDonald, and I'd like to introduce you to Bob Lund, no stranger to our show. And Bob, once again, I know you put a piece together on beaten favorites in the Kentucky Derby, and it seems to me that when you're the favorite in the Kentucky Derby, you miles will not even come over.
Well, Joe, it's one of the biggest traditions going now. It's the absolute kiss of death to be the favorite in the Kentucky Derby. And we have a chart. When we get it up here on the screen, we'll talk about it. I went back through this the other night, and some of the horses, I couldn't even remember them, the favorites for the Derby. Let's go through it real quickly here. 1994, the favorite was Holy Bull. Everybody remembers him. He went off at 2-1. He was 12th, beaten 18 lengths by Go for Gin. 93, Prairie Bayou turned into a creditable race, went off at 9-2, was beaten 2.5 lengths by Sea Hero. Everyone remembers Arazi in 1992. The second coming of Secretariat and so forth. Went off at even money, was 8th, and he only went on to win one more minor stake. He lost the Derby to Little E.T. Hansel was a good horse in 91, had a dismal run in the Derby. There may have been other reasons, according to Mr. Jodi MacDonald, but he went on to win the Preakness and the Belmont and proved himself to be a good horse. Mr. Frisky, how can you forget Mr. Frisky? He went off at 2-1. He was 8th, beaten 19 lengths. He turned out to have a tumor in his neck. He lost Unbridled. Easy Goer and Awe Inspiring were an entry in 1989. They went off at even money. He was second, beaten 2.5 lengths, and I believe Awe Inspiring was third. Easy Goer went on to get his revenge on Sunday Silence in the Belmont. Private Terms was undefeated going into the Derby. He went off at 7-2, and he was 9th to Winning Colors. Demons Be Gone went off at 2-1 in 1987 and did not finish the course. Snow Chief went off at 2-1 in 86 and was 11th. Chief's Crown, who was a Breeders' Cup juvenile winner, lost to Spendabuck in 85. He was 3rd. Life's Magic and Althea were the favorite at 3-1 in 84, and they were 8th and 19th in the Derby, respectively. Marfa was the favorite in 83 at 5-2 and was 5th. Air Forbes 1 went off at 1982 at 3-1, was 7th. And these last two, I had a hard time remembering them. Proud Appeal. Who all remembers Proud Appeal? Put up your hands. He went off at 5-2 and finished 18th, and that was part of an entry. And Rock Hill Native was the favorite in 1980, went off at 2-1 and was 5th to Genuine Risk. So it's been a very dismal trail of favorites here since 1979, Joe and Jodi.
You want no part of being the favorite here. One of the problems is, do you know who's going to be the favorite? It could be either Talkin' Man or it could be the entry of Serena's Song and Timber Country, so you don't really know who's going to be the favorite. You have to wait to make that determination until right before the race.
Let me tell you something else that would not surprise me. Talking to some of the fans here at Caesars tonight and talking to Bob Levy, they really like Afternoon Delights. And maybe Afternoon Delights is going to be forgiven for sort of a funny trip there in the Santa Anita Derby, and maybe we'll see Afternoon Delights go off at 2-1 here in the favorite.
That would be a surprise to me if Afternoon Delight was the favorite. We're going to turn to one of our favorites. 3's company. 4 is even better. Joining us on the telephone lines from the Daily News here in Philadelphia is Dick Jeradi. How are you, DJ?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Joe?
Good, and you?
I'm all right. Everything's cool.
What's going on down there in Kentucky? Who's the hot horse? Who's everybody talking about? Any late-breaking news?
Yeah, there's the only news down here. Apparently somebody's trying to sue to keep Ski Captain, the Japanese horse in Kentucky. I don't know. These Kentuckians are crazy. They don't like to let their horses out of town. That's really the only news. Other than that, I mean, the 19 entered, and nobody has a clue. Everybody thinks they know what's going to happen, and nobody does.
Dickie J, is anybody burning up the track down there as far as workouts go? Anybody looking unbeatable in the barn? Doesn't always pan out that way on Saturday, but sometimes you can get a horse that's just training bullets that's going to be able to carry that over into the big race.
It really has. In fact, nobody's even working out. There hasn't been anybody work since Tuesday. I mean, I think these guys pamper their horses to such an extent that they're afraid if they do anything, they'll get second guessed, so they don't do anything. I mean, they're just out galloping, and, you know, I mean, I don't know how much you can tell from that. Everybody thinks they know what they're looking at, but, again, I'm not sure anybody has a clue. If there was one horse that people seem to be talking about, it's Timber Country, but that's a horse, frankly, I don't like at all.
Dick, this is JJ. You were just talking to Jodi MacDonald. Dick, what horse do you like in this particular race?
That's the problem. I still haven't figured it out. I've been here for a week, and I still don't know what's going on. I think there's about 6 or 7 that could win, and what I'm doing after having a decade of I haven't had a winner since Spend-A-Buck down here. I mean, it's been so futile. I'm asking everybody I know who they like, and as they tell me, I'm crossing those horses off one by one. And whoever I end up with, that's my pick.
All right, Dick, we know that you're going to be a on-spot guy there the rest of the weekend, and when you get back in town, I'll give you a holler.
You got it, Joe.
Hopefully you picked the right one, buddy.
All right, buddy.
All right, that was this Dick Jeradi from the Philadelphia Daily News, who is no stranger to Jodi MacDonald or yours truly. We spent a lot of time with him. But again, here's a horse that's going to get a lot of attention at Churchill Downs. A horse called Talkin' Man.
Canada's 2-year-old champion last year, Talkin' Man, comes into the Kentucky Derby 2 for 2 as a 3-year-old. He has romped 2 easy wins this spring in New York.
Talkin' Man in front, going so easily right from here, a winner of the Wood Memorial on to the Kentucky Derby. Talkin' Man by 6.5.
Well, he hasn't run his best race yet, so hopefully May the 6th is the day. But, you know, he both his races this year, there's still been, you know, a lot of fuel in the tank, and so hopefully that this is going to be, you know, he's going to come right to himself in this race.
But Talkin' Man, who could go off as the favorite on Saturday, is carrying some heavy baggage. No horse has won the Gotham and Wood as he did, and then won the Derby Roses. The favorite has not won this race since 1979. And as jockey, Mike Smith has ridden the beaten favorite the past 2 years.
It's a very hard race to win, as we all know. But favorite or not, I feel very confident in my horse, and we just got to go out there and hopefully he runs his race and I ride mine and we get there first.
And there is some history on Talkin' Man's side, too. In 1983, Sonny's Halo, who had been a Canadian champion the previous year, won his only 2 prep races and then won the Kentucky Derby. This is Paul Rogers for Derby 121.
Welcome back to Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. JJ Graci along with Jodi MacDonald and Bob Lund. We've been here since 5:30 talking about the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. Definitely a lot of different opinions on this particular Derby. But let's go to the phones. We have Keith from Ventnor. Keith, you're up.
Hey, JJ.
What are you doing, Keith?
Great show. Name's Pete.
Pete? I'm sorry, Pete.
I'm going to guess on that trivia. I'd say Affirm.
Was not affirmed, but it's a good guess, buddy.
All right.
All right?
Right.
Thanks a lot for playing along with us.
Thank you.
Bob, you know what? That's kind of a trick question as you put out there.
Oh, no, I beg to differ, JJ.
But you can differ. That's what we're
I'll tell
here
you
for.
what. We'll leave that one out there. You can answer it. We'll throw out another one.
Give him
too.
another one.
Okay. Secretariat holds the Kentucky Derby record at 159-2. Since that running, which was, what, 1973, who has run the Derby the fastest since then? Since Secretariat's record running in 159-2, who has run the fastest Derby? Give us the name of the horse. Don't even have to tell us what year, and you win a T-shirt.
Okay, let's go back to the phones. And Steve from Galloway, you're up, Steve.
Hello, JJ.
How you doing, Steve?
All right. My guess would be Spend-A-Buck.
I believe your guess is right there.
Incorrect.
Not
on
Spend-A-Buck?
which question?
First question.
On the wire-to-wire.
Incorrect. Well, sorry to say. He did wire them, however, but he's not the most recent one.
All right, well, I tuned in your show late, and I wanted to get Jodi's comments on Talkin' Man. What does he think about that horse for the Saturday?
Go ahead, Jodi's right here.
The question on Talkin' Man is it going to go off as the favorite? In case you just tuned in, we just ran down the list of beaten favorites over the last decade and a half in the Kentucky Derby. If you're the favorite, you don't win. A lot of people think that the entry, the Lucas entry, Serena Song, and Timber Country is going to go off as the favorite. I don't think so. I think Talkin' Man will be the favorite, has run 2 very good races in New York, I think it's a little short here. Last year went to the to Churchill Downs in the Breeders' Cup and went way up the track. Although the buyer's numbers say it's the best horse for that day, I don't think so. I'm going to try and beat Talking Man.
Okay? Thanks a lot for playing, and we'll talk to you again. You know, there's another horse that's going to get here. It's going to get a lot of attention, has gotten a lot of attention, Jodi and Bob. It's a horse called Timber Country. Well, we'll look at Timber Country's video, then we'll come back and talk about him a little bit.
Thunder Gulch is running second as they come down to the last furlong. It's Swab Prospect. Bailey's all over him, trying to get some win today.
There's a winner right there.
Do we have a... Welcome back to Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. While we were showing you that particular piece, we had one of the folks here in the Caesars room enjoying themselves, and he said Winning Colors was the horse to go wire to wire. And again, she is a filly. Maybe Serena's Song will repeat history and come back and go wire to wire. But Jimmy from Hamilton is the winner of... Jimmy, here you go, buddy. He has got a derby hat. He's a happy camper here. The next thing we're going to give out is our Kentucky Derby shirt, extra large for you gals who like to sleep with them. You know, if not, Jodi MacDonald told me he's got his eye on this shirt, so we're going to try and get this shirt out to you folks out there. Okay, now let's look at a video on Timber Country.
Country was Thoroughbred Racing's champion 2-year-old last year, but this year he has yet to win in 3 races. Those races were in California, though. Now he's back at Churchill Downs, where he was an impressive winner of last fall's Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And trainer Wayne Lucas is bubbling with enthusiasm.
Once we get him into a scenario where he can handle it, and I think the Kentucky Derby is that scenario, then you got a whole different ballgame. I think you're going to see a very, very different horse. All of his works here have indicated that. He's doing marvelous here, and I think he'll do fine.
Lucas will be running 3 horses in the Derby. Besides Timber Country, he has the spectacular filly Serena's Song and Thunder Gulch. Here's the winner of the Florida Derby, and he's 3rd string in his own barn.
This is a nice horse, and he's a good, solid horse. Most years, what he needs to do is be in a different barn, because he's doesn't have the charisma of a Serena's Song or a Timber Country. One of them's a filly with great charisma. The other one's a 2-year-old champion, so he's a kind of the stepchild of the deal.
So what is the deal here, Wayne? 3 horses in the Kentucky Derby. Isn't that a bit much?
It gives me a beautiful opportunity to maybe do something that every trainer here on the grounds would like to do, every trainer in the world would like to do. But every time we drop a Serena's Song, a Timber Country, or Thunder Gulch into the mix, our chances get better. If we can find another one, we'd have him.
Anybody wanting to sell a Derby horse? Wayne Lucas might be looking. This is Paul Rogers for Derby 121.
That was D. Wayne Lucas's, what he thinks his chances are and his 3 stars in the Kentucky Derby. And we're going to have a little more talk about D. Wayne Lucas with Jodi and Bob. But let me go to Atlantic City, the casino city, to Lorraine. Lorraine, you want to take a shot in our trivia question?
Yeah, JJ.
Go ahead, Lorraine.
I'm going to say it's Spend the Buck with 2 minutes and 1/5 of a second.
You're right on target there.
Absolutely correct.
Your shirt here, your Kentucky Derby shirt, I guess either you can pick it up
at Channel 2.
Pick it up at Channel 2, Lorraine.
Thanks, JJ.
Thanks an awful lot for getting involved with us tonight.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so we've got another trivia question, Bob?
I will throw one out real quick. This year, In Character and Jumron are both foreign bred. They were bred in England. Name one of the 2 foreign-bred horses, both English breds, to have won the Kentucky Derby. And we'll give you an autographed Derby poster, which is worth quite a little piece of change. It's a nice collector's item. If you can tell us one of the 2 English breds that have won the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, you can reach us at 641-1759, and we have some gifts here, and we'd like to give them away to you. So the quicker you answer the question, the quicker we get another trivia question out. 641-1759. Jodi MacDonald, time comes, we know Dick Jeradi hedged. I know you're not a hedger. What do you like here?
Never have been and never will be. And if you don't have an opinion on the Kentucky Derby, then you're not a horse player. I'm going to try and beat the favorites. I think that the Kentucky Derby is a race that you can look forward to every single year for value. Favorite hasn't won it lately. I think that the horses that have been very good leading up to this race all have faults. There isn't a horse in this race that doesn't have a fault. I'm going to go a little long. Last year, I went with Go for Gin. It was first time in a long time I had picked the Derby winner, but at 9-1, it was not only a good selection, but also a good price, and I was surprised that it went off at 9-1. So I'm looking for that same kind of value, same kind of play, and I'm going to go with Tahano Run. Here's a horse that was very good as a 2-year-old, dead last in last year's Breeders' Cup Championship 2-year-old, came from 13th to finish a pretty good third in the race behind Outdish and Timber Country. Like Go for Gin, didn't come back all that strong as a 3-year-old. Has run up the track in his 3 races this year, was dead flat for his first out, but has improved. And I think it's the kind of horse with the tactical speed that can get into the middle of the pack, because I think there is going to be a lot of speed here. Afternoon Delight, Serena's Song, Wild Sin, I think they're going to set very, very, very honest fraction. So I think it's going to be a horse that can sit in the middle of the pack. Tahano Run with Jerry Bailey, one of the best big race riders in the game, I think can be in that position at the top of the stretch to make a major move and maybe steal this race. I think he can go up anywhere from 8 to 12 to 1. Same exact game plan as Go for Gin. Worked for me last year. I'm going back to it again.
All right, we'll have more of that, but let's go right back to the phones. Rick from Northfield. Rick?
Yeah, I have an answer for your trivia question, I think.
All right, go ahead.
Was it winning colors?
Winning, you're probably answering the trivia question earlier, which has already been answered.
Oh, that one was?
Okay, now, Bob, you want to give me your other one real quick? Maybe you want to take a shot at that.
Yeah, can you name one of the 2 English breds that have won the Kentucky Derby?
No, I didn't hear the winning colors one, but I'm sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
If Serena's Song does run 147, you know, do you think she'll be able to hang on for that last 16th?
Well, I tell you what, it just depends on how easy of a lead she gets. If she gets an easy lead, I think that she can take it wire to wire. Remember, when she ran in the Jim Beam, it was a short field. She was the only speed. She had things her own way. I think she's not going to have her things her own way. She's going to have horses on both sides of her at all times, and I just don't believe that she's going to be able to carry it wire to wire. Again, I'm sure that a lot of folks out there, being that she is a filly in the Kentucky Derby, or like her chances for one reason or another. I don't think that she has much chance. Again, that's just my opinion. But again, I do thank you for getting involved tonight. Thanks a lot. And Bob, I guess it's your turn now. I don't think mine.
My turn to make a pick here? Let me tell you what, I do think this is wide open. I think any one of 6 or 7 horses could win this race this year. However, I really like the entry of Serena's Song and Timber Country. If they go a half in 47 or slower, Serena's Song will win this race coming away. If you look at the buyer figures for 1 1/8 miles, she has a monster 114 buyer from the Jim Beam. It's a trace track real close to the Derby in Kentucky, real close to Churchill Downs. Some of the better Kentucky Derby winners have had a start in Kentucky prior to the Derby. I like that. If this race goes in faster fractions than 47, I think Timber Country, the other half of that entry, has a whale of a shot. I think Dwayne Lucas has snuck this horse in here. I watched the Santa Anita Derby several times, and I'll tell you what, Pat Day did not hit Timber Country. He scrubbed his shoulder with the stick and hand rode him to the wire, and that horse almost won the race. He was beaten maybe 1 1/4 lengths for all the money. I like Timber Country a lot, and I like them in the exacta in a box with Talkin' Man.
Again, I guess it's my turn to reach up and be
Yes,
counted
Joe,
here.
it is your turn.
We've been talking about beating favorites all the time, and I'm not usually a guy that wants to pick on a favorite, but I think if you can excuse Talkin' Man's only bad race in the Breeders' Cup, he has a form that's hard to fall. He was not right for that race. Again, he had a lung infection, could not get his air that particular day, and probably shouldn't have run. But again, he did. Maybe, as Bob Levy pointed out, maybe Roger Attfield got caught up in the Breeders' Cup frenzy that went on over there. But other than that, here's a horse. He wins the Gotham, he wins the Wood Memorial, and I think the Wood Memorial is a good prep for the Kentucky Derby. Again, his style is he likes to lay close to the lead, so it's important for Talkin' Man to get away from there running and get good position and either lay right off the filly and agitate her as best he can. But again, I guess if Talkin' Man is the favorite, my chances are pretty slim because they just don't seem to be able to get it done. But maybe, Jodi, one day that jinx will stop with Talkin' Man.
What do they say, JJ? Records are made to be broken? Not this year. Listen to these two guys. They give you chalk. He gives you the entry followed up by Talkin' Man. He gives you Talkin' Man. They're going chalk. What you need to play for in the Kentucky Derby is value. It's always a value race. It always comes up as a surprise, and I will stick with my Tahano Run. One thing that nobody's mentioned here today is what happened if it turns up as a bad track. Now, I know the weather is supposed to be good in Kentucky tomorrow, a very, very, very minimal chance of showers. The majority of these horses in this field haven't done much running on mud. Many times Kentucky Derby, it's a major factor. It's not here. Tahano Run is a horse that did run very well in Kentucky over mud last year as a 2-year-old, winning the Kentucky Cup Grade 3 for juveniles. If it comes up a little wet, I think that helps my chances with Tahano Run, and you chalk players are going to have problems.
Okay, listen, I know Sam from Promoter wants to get on, but as usually, I got winded here and we ran out of time. Sam, I'm sorry we can't get you on because I would like to get your pick for the Kentucky Derby. I want to thank the folks here at Caesar, to Valerie McGonigal and to Mark Giuliano, and a special thanks to Jodi McDonald and to Bob Lund for really putting together and putting some real time into this show, and hopefully we can help you with your pick for the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. I'd like to also thank producer-director Jack Hagan and to the crew here at Salmons who've made this a real fun place to be. And if you haven't any place to go on Saturday, come on over here to Caesars simulcasting room. They are the winner's circle on the boardwalk, and they will take care of you as you are a winner. So for you folks out there who took an hour of your night out to let us come into your house, we thank you once again. So we're going to be out of here. We always want to see you at the races, and more important, we want to see you in the winner's circle. Good night and good racing from Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk. I know Sam from Promoter wants to get on, but as usually, I got winded here and we ran out of time. Sam, I'm sorry we can't get you on because I would like to get your pick for the Kentucky Derby. I want to thank the folks here at Caesar, to Valerie McGonigal and to Mark Giuliano, and a special thanks to Jodi McDonald and to Bob Lund for really putting together and putting some real time into this show, and hopefully we can help you with your pick for the 121st running of the Kentucky Derby. I'd like to also thank producer-director Jack Hagan and to the crew here at Salmons who've made this a real fun place to be. And if you haven't any place to go on Saturday, come on over here to Caesars simulcasting room. They are the winner's circle on the boardwalk, and they will take care of you as you are a winner. So for you folks out there who took an hour of your night out to let us come into your house, we thank you once again. So we're going to be out of here. We always want to see you at the races, and more important, we want to see you in the winner's circle. Good night and good racing from Caesars simulcasting room, the winner's circle on the boardwalk.